Jasmine understands that mental health conditions are biological, but she wonders, does that mean we are born with a mental health condition, or can something happen later that causes symptoms to develop? She pauses as she sees a photo of her cousins Jen and Gwen. They are both courageous, resourceful women who have overcome a lot in their lifetimes. Jasmine remembers that one of them is diagnosed with bipolar disorder. These identical twins can help us understand the complex answer to Jasmine's question. If you were to map Jen's and Gwen's genes, they would be identical. They look the same, sound alike, and have been known to finish each other's sentences. This is because they both inherited identical genes from their parents. Not only do they have identical genes, but they also experienced many of the same childhood events, including the trauma of their parents' messy divorce, which led to homelessness and abuse. When they were 21, Jen was diagnosed with bipolar disorder, but Gwen has never shown any signs of this condition. If mental health conditions were simple and caused by a single gene, or if they were caused by an inherited gene plus trauma, it would have been likely for both Jen and Gwen to have developed bipolar disorder. But only Jen did. Mental health conditions are complex medical conditions, just like cancer and diabetes. Even though identical twins share the same genes and many of the same life events, only one may develop cancer, diabetes, or a mental health condition. Why? What else could be happening? Let's begin by exploring how the human brain develops. At about 12 weeks gestation, neurons begin multiplying at the rate of about 50,000 per second. That's faster than fruit flies multiply on a half-eaten banana left on the kitchen table for days. Neurons, the cells in the brain that send and receive messages. Glial, the cells that support and protect neurons. And capillaries that provide blood supply, together make up the gray matter of the brain. Throughout the remainder of the pregnancy, and even after birth, the neurons continue to multiply and migrate to their final destinations in the brain. In fact, the brain is the only organ that is not completely developed at birth. A baby is born with more neurons than he or she will need. The cells then begin a process of elimination and rewiring. Neurons are overproduced during certain developmental stages. Then some synapses and neurons that are not being used are eliminated to allow those being used to grow. Neurologists refer to this process as pruning. Just like pruning a tree, you remove some branches so that others can grow larger and stronger. The environment is believed to play a major role in determining what connections are strengthened as the brain matures. In our example, the trauma of a messy divorce, homelessness, and abuse may have had different levels of impact on each twin, even though their genes are identical. Research has shown that the brain continues to prune and rewire itself well into our 20s when the frontal lobes mature. The frontal lobes control judgment, insight, and impulse control. So when Gwen says her teenage son has about as much judgment and control as a caveman, her description is accurate. Whether a mental health condition is present or not, the frontal lobes of the teenage brain are not fully developed. Research suggests that although scientists aren't certain if we are able to produce new cells after the brain is complete, it is believed that we are able to rewire our connections, at least some of them, throughout our lifetime. For the relatives of people with mental health conditions, most just want to know, what are the chances that I or someone else in my family will also develop this condition? We know that schizophrenia and bipolar disorder have a definite genetic link. Detailed studies of family risk for anxiety disorder and obsessive-compulsive disorder and other conditions are underway. The studies that have been completed so far also show a higher risk for first-degree relatives like children and siblings, and for identical twins. There's a wide variety of research currently underway on genetics. In addition to trying to find specific genes that may cause a mental health condition, science is also exploring how a gene's composition and function may change over time. This type of research is called epigenetics. For mental health conditions, this research is showing that something is transmitted genetically, but it's not enough to guarantee that a mental health condition will develop. Something else needs to occur for mental health distress to begin. There are two major thoughts on what that something else might be. Biological scientists call it a second hit and believe it comes from a virus, an injury in the womb or during birth, exposure to toxic substances, or problems with the immune system. Even though this second hit may occur before birth or in infancy, the distress and behaviors resulting from any abnormalities don't begin to show until the child enters the developmental stage of adulthood. Social scientists look for how social and cultural environments impact the development of mental health conditions. They look at the neighborhood a person lives in, their health habits, the traumatic events they have experienced, and every other social aspect of the person's life. The vulnerability stress model is one theory that shows how biological and social environments might work together. This theory says that mental health distress has a biological basis that is affected by social and environmental factors. A person may have inherited a gene that makes them vulnerable to developing a mental health condition. Then, when they experience an additional social or environmental stressor, that increases the likelihood of a mental health condition developing. The combination of the biological tendency that's already there and the environmental factor that's added are believed to initiate the development of symptoms. Environmental factors affect not only the development of the first symptoms of a mental health condition, but also how those symptoms continue and change over the person's life. It's important for you to know that someone who has both a genetic predisposition to a mental health condition and a disruptive environment is not guaranteed to develop symptoms. The opposite is also true. Someone without a known family history and without a traumatic life experience may develop a mental health condition. Researchers are still looking for why some people with the same genes and the same experiences develop conditions and others don't. Regardless of the specific causes, it's important to take action and move forward so that you can find the support you need and be a healthy part of your loved one's recovery.